Ladies and gentlemen, this is Nikhil Parekh from Ahmedabad city in India. In this video, I shall be giving you a recitation of my poem, which is titled Ghastly War Could Only Win. This poem of mine is, of course, in my book that is titled Love vs. Terrorism, Part 1, which has differently titled poems on anti-terror, peace, love, brotherhood. So without wasting a further moment, I shall now commence upon the recitation of my poem, titled Ghastly War Could Only Win. Ghastly war could only win. Screams of all those haplessly orphaned children who hopelessly stared into the desolately maiming space of hell. Who hopelessly stared into the desolately maiming spaces of hell, with the blood-soaked bodies of their parents upon their innocuous shoulders. Treacherous war could only win. Countless curses of all those brutally lambasted mothers who indiscriminately lost their exuberant young sons to the arrow of carnivorously unforgivable malice. Sadistic war could only win. Countless nightmares of all those inexplicably shivering on the heartlessly obdurate ground. Sadistic war could only win. Nightmares of all those inexplicably shivering on the heartlessly obdurate ground. Barbarously naked and without the tiniest leaf of humanity. Barbarously naked and without the tiniest leaf of humanity to engulf their wailing bones. Inconsolable war could only win. Countless slaps of all those relentlessly searching for their inseparably lost ones. Lost ones. Even the most whose even the most infinitesimal whisker wasn't to be found. Under the most tenaciously blazing of sunlight. Under the most tenaciously blazing of sunlight. Cold-blooded war. Cold-blooded war could only win. Countless abuses of all those rendered devastatingly homeless, who had now no other no other option than to perennially reside upon graveyards of horrendously charred ash. Parasitic war could only win. Countless tears of all those still uncontrollably oozing priceless blood. Even infinite hours after the sun had celestially set. Wanton war could only win. Countless agonies of all those who were left to salaciously crawl on a single hand and foot for the remainder of their lives, indefinably mutilated by the cannibalistic swords of dastardly abhorrence. Hedonistic war could only win. Hedonistic war could only win. Countless impotencies of all those who were left without their sacrosanct beloveds, and in whom the desire to further procreate had inevitably died like the last brick of the deadened coffin. And in whom the desire to further procreate had inevitably died like the last brick of the deadened coffin. Unsparing war could only win. Countless infidelities of all those who had completely lost faith in every fraternity of living kind, gorily witnessing their loved ones being acrimoniously pulverized like insouciantly deplorable matchsticks. Satanic war could only win countless vindications of all those inimitably newborn infants who had unfortunately seen their mother being ruthlessly slain, felt her blood soaked skull instead of amiably suckling her breast, felt her blood soaked skull instead of amiably suckling her breast. Prejudiced war could only win. Prejudiced war could only win countless frustrations of all those whose most gloriously unfettered and vivacious future had now been forever burnt into flames of inanely decrepit meaninglessness. Licentious war could only win countless dumbness of all those perpetually stunned by the impact of the intransigent heartlessness, all those whose voice forever refrained to waft out, all those whose voice forever refrained to waft out of their throats as they saw their own brothers, as they saw their own brothers and children being buried alive right in front of their eyes, right in front of their eyes. Disastrous war could only win countless diseases of all those whose every iota. Disastrous war could only win countless diseases of all those whose every iota of flesh had been tawdrily ripped apart to remorsefully reveal their profusely pus laden bones. Imbecile, imbecile war could only win countless insecurities of all those who had lost every ounce of their physical and emotional possession in vibrant life, for whom every trembling footstep forward seemed to be like the most massacring valley of death, for whom every trembling footstep forward seemed to be like the most massacring valley of death. Diabolical war could only win. Diabolical war could only win. Blood drops. Blood drops of all those who lay miserably unattended and inconsolably wounded, for whom there seemed nothing else but a mortuary of despondently never ending darkness, in front of even the most ethereal of their senses. In front of even the most ethereal of their senses. Heinous war, heinous war could only win countless screams of all those who were neither a part of it, or all those who never lost any of their loved ones, or all those who never lost any of their loved ones to its tyrannical swirl, but whose tongues still developed a flagrant flavor, simply listening to all delirious atrocities going around. Deteriorating war could only win. Deteriorating war could only win. Countless idiosyncrasies of all those. Countless idiosyncrasies of all those who were mentally tortured by its whiplashes of deteriorating war could only win countless idiosyncrasies of all those who were mentally tortured by its whiplashes of apathetic ferociousness, for whom every instant of life had now metamorphosed into the gutters of worthless insanity. Unceremonious war could only win countless living deaths of all those still existing just for the sake of inhaling and exhaling out air, But for whom? But for whom the entire universe was nothing but an ominous skeleton of unrelentingly stabbing blackness. And cowardly war could only win. Countless betrayals of all those who once upon a time immortally loved, but now whose every beat had wholesomely metamorphosed into slandering sinfulness, tirelessly witnessing blood and malice as the only signatures of blessed life. And cowardly war could only win. Betrayals of all those who once upon a time immortally loved, but now whose every beat had wholesomely metamorphosed into slandering self-sinfulness, tirelessly witnessing blood and malice as the only signatures of blessed life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. From the innermost dormitory of my soul, I wanted to thank you for your gorgeously victorious patronization to my poetry.